This isn't a headline, it's a warning shot. Consumer confidence just hit a 4-year high. Trump's halting tariffs, cutting off elite funding, and laying down the law on trans athletes. And the establishment scrambling to keep up. If you're tired of being lied to, this is your channel. You know what to do. Like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell because the truth doesn't come from traditional corporate media. Let's roll the tape.
Hurry up.
Coming into CNN right now, consumer confidence is improving for the first time in 6 months. The reading beat economists' expectations as progress in President Trump's tariff negotiations are giving Americans a new sense of hope. The markets are also rising on the news over the weekend that President Trump is backtracking, hitting pause on his proposal to increase tariffs on the European Union. This morning, he said the EU is moving, in his word, quickly on trade talks.
Americans are feeling a lot better about the economy after a scary March and April. We saw that consumer confidence in May went up. It went way up. This was better than expected. In fact, this was the biggest one-month increase for consumer confidence in 4 years. And when we look at the trend, you can see that confidence really took a hit at the start of this year. You see this really sharp decline in consumer confidence. This, of course, was happening as the president was ratcheting up tariffs and as the stock market was plunging. In fact, confidence had really gotten to the lowest levels since COVID, which is pretty stunning when you think about it. But now we do see this significant uptick coming as there's been some de-escalation in the trade war. And obviously this historic rebound on Wall Street is also helping to boost confidence. And when we look at the internals of this report, there are a lot of positives here, right? People are feeling a lot better about the current situation. Their short-term outlook went way up. This was the biggest one-month increase for this metric since 2009 during the Great Recession. Also, recession fears, they went down, and this was a widespread shift in sentiment.
While the Democrats are still handing out excuses, Trump delivered results again. Consumer confidence didn't just rise, it roared back. He paused EU tariffs, took pressure off the middle class, and the economy responded overnight. CNN had to admit it. Markets up, panics down. And every American who felt that weight lift, that wasn't luck, that was leadership. And Trump didn't just stop there. He went straight for the next battle. What was that, you might say? Protecting women's sports.
President Trump is taking aim this morning at California Governor Gavin Newsom over transgender athletes. The president posting on Truth Social just a little while ago saying that California, under the leadership of radical left Democrat Gavin Newsom, continues to illegally allow men to play in women's sports. Please be hereby advised that large-scale federal funding will be held back, maybe permanently, if the executive order on this subject matter is not adhered to. The governor himself said it is unfair, and I'll be speaking to him today to find out which way he wants to go. The president did sign an executive order in February banning transgender athletes from girls' and women's sports. He said any school found not following the order risks losing funding. In his post this morning, the president referenced a transgender athlete who he says won everything at a major event and is now qualified to compete in the state finals next weekend. He says he is ordering local authorities to not allow that person to compete.
No more virtue signaling. No more fake fairness. Trump's message is simple. Follow the law or lose the funds. California still wants to experiment with gender politics on young girls. Okay, fine, but not on your dime. And suddenly, even Newsom's pretending to agree. That's the power of action. Trump's not waiting for applause. He's delivering ultimatums.
First Maine, now California. Clearly, this issue having to do with transgender athletes in schools is a fight that the president continues to want to pick. Why?
Because his base loves it and because he gets to change the message. I don't think that Trump really cares so much about the issue as much as it deflects a lot of other things which he'd rather not be talking about. And most currently, I think that's a combination of it was the UK tariffs, or I'm sorry, the European Union, boy, that wasn't easy to get out, tariffs, and as well as the Ukraine story that's starting to bubble up and him getting pushback from Vladimir Putin.
What a bizarre moment we're in, Brian, when, you're seeing even Newsom, is forced to agree with what everybody knows is true, but it still happens in his state.
Yeah, they said it was an 80-20 issue. I think it's more like 95-5 issue. Those 95% are against it, maybe 5% for it. But I think he's waking up a little bit. He's getting a little pushback out there in his state, but they're still doing it. I know they're doing it in Illinois. There was a track athlete, I think last week in Illinois, did the same thing. He won all the women's events at their state track meet. It's just not fair, man.
Listen closely. That's not applause. That's disgust. A biological male just shattered the girl's long jump, and the crowd knew it. Those weren't cheers. That was a collective gut punch to every girl who trained her heart out. This is the lie, playing out in real time. And the worst part, officials let it happen. Trump's order isn't just about fairness, it's about basic truth. And the people are done playing pretend. And while Trump defended the truth on the field, the taxpayer-funded liars behind the microphone get a rude awakening.
NPR is suing the Trump administration. What's this is about? Well, it's over the president's executive order purportedly barring the use of congressionally appropriated funds for NPR and PBS. The lawsuit filed in federal court in Washington by NPR and other public radio organizations, including Colorado Public Radio and Aspen Public Radio, says the president's order violated the Constitution and the First Amendment's protections for freedom of speech. No public events on the schedule for the president today. We're reaching out to the White House regarding this lawsuit. It will be interesting to see what their response is.
I think it would be easier if the president got Congress to terminate NPR. I've often thought for many years we don't need a federally funded official media outlet like the totalitarian countries have. We don't need it at all. But Congress has enacted it, and so only Congress can undo it.
They pushed one-sided narratives for years, and now they want your tax dollars to keep doing it? Nah. Trump pulled the plug, and NPR lost its mind. This isn't censorship, it's accountability. If you want to call half the country extremists, do it on your own dime. No more funding fake neutrality. No more hiding behind public interest. The public isn't buying it, and now neither is the government. But NPR isn't the only elite institution losing its grip. Harvard just got the wake-up call it never expected.
These cuts in federal contracts regarding Harvard worth about $100 million sent out in a memo today to all federal agencies, and Newsmax has it. Take a look. This letter signed by the U.S. General Services Administration orders federal agencies to start providing a list of contracts with Harvard that will need to be cut. It also recommends that agencies seek alternative vendors for future services where they had previously considered Harvard. So maybe giving it to other schools instead of Harvard. This letter blames the cuts on Harvard's uncooperative stance to crack down on anti-Semitism on campus, as well as alleged race discrimination in its admissions process. If the agencies find that Harvard is the only suitable option for a contract, the government is ordering them to provide a reason for why the Ivy League school should be kept on the federal government's books. The directive to cancel Harvard's contracts expected to affect at least 9 federal agencies.
Our discussion now is Professor Lawrence Tribe, who has taught constitutional law at Harvard Law School for 5 decades. Professor Tribe, what is your response to Donald Trump's latest attack?
Well, it's really hard, Lawrence, to know where to begin. He's obviously unhinged. He has no idea what he's talking about. He just thinks that slinging around, frankly, BS about the people at Harvard and other institutions will somehow substitute for taking the law into account. He has been throwing everything he can at Harvard, and courts have put a stop to it.
Harvard's been coasting for decades, funded, protected, and unchallenged. But now the golden shield's gone. Trump ordered 9 federal agencies to start canceling contracts and find someone else because Harvard won't clean up its mess. Antisemitism, race-based admissions, zero accountability. The Ivy League's not untouchable anymore. And if they want federal respect, they better earn it just like everyone else. But behind all this, a bigger question lies. Who's actually been making the calls? Because it sure hasn't been Joe Biden.
Bombshell revelations claiming the former president's close aides, they were the ones really running the show, and that they reportedly felt justified taking, quote, undemocratic action to keep Biden in the White House for another 4 years and President Trump out of the White House.
And all this raises troubling new questions about the alleged cover-up, and House Republicans are threatening investigations to find the facts and uncover the truth.
Let me read you a quote. 5 people were running the country, and Joe Biden was at best a senior member of the board.
Well, I've been a chief principal to a principal, and I know Dana has too. And when you're a staffer for a principal, you trust the staffer's instincts. You are not elected. They are, and you have to trust their judgment. And unfortunately, you've got a situation where many of these aides, and I harbor this animus, they have been around since the Clinton administration. They work for Clinton. They work for Obama. They work for Hillary Clinton. Now they work for Biden. And I would like to see some accountability. These are the same people who have been moving the Democratic Party into a place of elitism and out of touch with regular working people. And I would love some accountability over these folks, because I think their judgment has been wrong and they have screwed up the Democratic Party in a big way.
Let's be real. Joe Biden wasn't running the country. He was a puppet on the string. These same career operators from Clinton, Obama, and Hillary's years were calling all the shots. And now they admit they felt justified taking undemocratic action just to keep Trump out. That's not democracy. That's a hostile takeover. And now that it's out in the open, every American should be asking, who's actually in charge? If this episode hit you, do something about it. Hit that like, subscribe, and share with someone who's still stuck in the narrative. Drop your comments in the section below. Let's hear them all. And if you want to support the truth, there's a link below. Buy me a coffee. Keep me awake. Let's keep it going. Thank you. God bless.